All right. Well, we're here again with another episode. I got Joe, my brother, here again. Kind of going to delve into a little bit of what we talked about before. Not so much the chasing your dreams and the running thing, but we're actually going to talk about more diet, nutrition, staying consistent with that, misinformation, all the stuff surrounding that. So if you're coming here for the first time, give our page and podcast a like, follow, and share, all those things that people do on the internet. Tell your friends about it and all that other shit. But yeah, we're going to get into this episode. So you came in here with an outline. It looks like, I feel like I should put this in the post on Instagram, living optimally. I mean, I might rewrite it though, because my handwriting is just way better than yours. That's a small flex on my part.
Let's calm down now.
Yeah, whatever, dude. So we got living optimally.
I've actually been told I have good handwriting, so
really
take it for what it is.
Who the fuck said that?
Many people.
Get out of here! No way. It's booty, dude.
Yeah.
So what did you want to talk about today specifically? Where you want to start out?
Yeah. So just to give some context around the situation. Currently right now training to break a 4-minute mile and compete against some of the best runners in the world, and it's been an awesome journey for me, just starting pretty much from scratch, not having a background in running or competing at the highest level in anything. Just kind of picked it up over the pandemic, totally pretty much 180'd my whole life trajectory, just cut out all the crap food I was eating, fast food, time of day that I was eating, the amount of food I was eating, everything, and just pretty much, reversed my whole diet.
It was the alcohol too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pretty much cut all that out and just said, okay, how could I, live the most optimal life? So that's kind of the lens that I want to approach this from is, living optimally. And that's going to look different for everybody. I'm not going to come here and say I'm some certified nutritionist or a doctor.
It's mostly empirical.
Right.
So
I'm
it's
just
all your
using my own
experience.
anecdotal, just my own experience, right? And you could take that for what it is. I think there's many ways to construct a healthy diet for yourself. I don't think there's one size fits all. When you look at health and nutrition, there's so many variables. The human system is extremely complex, and depending on different phenotypes and genes that are expressed, different diets are going to work for different people.
Of course.
We can see that all over the world.
And it's also just preference too. Some people just aren't going to be able to eat the same things as other people.
Yeah.
You have to, if you're going to do something like this and change your whole diet to be optimal and healthy, you got to find the things that you like to eat that are in the realm of this health.
Absolutely.
Another topic that we're gonna talk about later is misinformation and stuff.
Yeah, it's everywhere, especially nowadays.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, with the internet, that's just that's bound to happen.
Yeah, just a natural, progression of having just everybody's thoughts and ideas and research out in the open.
Vast amount of data just always there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was the first thing that you did? So we talked last time that you were on about the alcohol, getting rid of that, spurring you to change or chase your dreams and just change your lifestyle and stuff. Now, after you had gotten a taste of sobriety and being healthy and stuff, when you realized that you needed to change your diet and your workout routines, and it wasn't just your high school knowledge or I'm going to run a little bit and cut out the Wingstop. Right. So what did you have to do in order to optimize your diet like that specifically?
Yeah, well, it definitely started with creating a plan for myself. And I think that's where everybody should start. No matter what your dreams or goals are, there has to be some type of plan in place to reach that, right? Whether it's just recreational, competitive, just overall well-being and wellness. Maybe you want to lose 10 pounds, gain 10 pounds, whatever that looks like, right? There's got to be some type of plan in place.
Of course.
So that's kind of where I started, was just constructing this vision for myself. And that was just to really see what I can become in the running scene, how well I could perform against the best athletes in the world, how I could stack up against them. And from there, everything was then filtered through that lens, right? So it started with just creating this vision for myself, like envisioning myself running on the track, competing at some of the best running events in the world against these great runners, and just actually just putting myself there. And then it's like, okay, now let's take a step back, reverse engineer, from the start, what's it going to take
to get there, yeah.
Right? So that was kind of the lens that I initially looked through, was just, okay, this is where I want to be. Now, how the heck am I going to get there?
Right. Now, the humility came probably 6 months later when you listen to our cousin Phil tell you that you just need to get the coach to coach
absolutely.
you. You're like, I got to get to this level before I can be coached.
I have to gain some credibility first, right?
Yeah, and Phil's like, it's fucking stupid. Just get the coach now, right?
He's like, well, you'll get the credibility by getting the coach.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, there you go. That's it. So.
But even before that, we had Joey, our cousin, on here, and he talked about his keto journey. Now, in your first year or whatever, like, you piggybacked real hard on top of Chris, but so did Joey too, because Chris's story is inspiring as hell.
Absolutely.
Was that like the first diet? That was the first plan that you did. You're like, I'm gonna do the ketogenic diet, right?
Yeah. Yep. That was where it really all started for me. And if people look at me, they're like, dude, you're skinny as heck. You don't need to follow a ketogenic diet, right? Like, that's for people that want to lose weight. And I would say yes and no to that. I think there's a ton of benefits to a keto diet. I also think there's some drawbacks too. I don't think anybody should be in full-blown ketosis for years on end, which some people are, because they get so addicted to do it, because it feels great. When you start burning fat, it's a really smooth burn, and unlike carbs, sometimes you'll get those crashes and kind of comes in waves.
The ups and downs and stuff.
Yeah. On a keto diet, it's pretty straight, smooth energy burn. So you're pretty alert all day long and you feel great. So that could be addictive to some people. And, I was definitely in that place where it's like, man, this feels amazing. Just, cutting my carbs to under 30 grams of carbs a day, and just eating a ton of protein and fat, right? And that's where it really started for me. I was like 165 pounds and, running about, I want to say maybe 5 days a week. And after about 2 months, I dropped down about 150. So I lost about 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And shaved off like over a minute of my mile time. And a lot of that was probably attributed to just, getting a little bit lighter, right? Losing 15 pounds. And then also just being very conscientious of the food I was eating. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, is like, there's so many different diets to follow, right?
Yeah.
There's pretty much, for every type of food, there's a diet for it nowadays. So,
yeah, of course.
It's like, where do you start? And I think the first place that somebody should start when they're trying to just construct a diet for themselves, or just like any type of like guideline that they want to follow with their the food they eat, is start with just eating whole foods.
Yeah, that's.
It doesn't mean you have to shop at Whole Foods, because it's really expensive.
Fuck that. There's no reason for that.
Yeah, but start with just eating whole foods.
Right.
I think if you could cut out the processed sugars and the refined carbs, and
my God, it's unbelievable.
The seed oils and just all this stuff that is it's proven over and over in so much research how bad that is for you. And it's one of the leading causes of heart disease and cancer.
Which is heart disease is the leading killer of people in America, right? Or is that worldwide?
I believe I know for sure America. I'm not sure worldwide.
America.
Yeah. Probably not worldwide, because the rest of the world's pretty healthy and
healthier than us.
Let's
say that. Right. Yeah, for sure.
I shouldn't say pretty healthy, because there are many other parts of the world that aren't. But
of course,
when it comes to just the basis of any good diet, I would bet my life on just any nutritionist, doctor, anyone's going to tell you the more whole foods that you eat that are just found naturally in nature, the better you're going to set yourself up for, I personally am not a big vegetable person. Do not like them. I don't see the value in them whatsoever. And call me crazy. People are gonna be like, dude, like you're fucked in the head. That's totally fine. Like you can say that all you want, but I've looked at enough research just to know, and it might be a controversial statement. That's all right with me because I'll talk about it to the death of me, that I just don't see what value vegetables bring. And it's like there's very low amounts of nutrients. There's no macros in them, right? But people are like, well, you get vitamins in it, and you get antioxidants and different hormetic stressors. And it's like, well, you can get those hormetic stressors
you
from,
can get them from
saunas or
other sources,
ice baths or what have you. When it comes to the vitamins and minerals, you can get those from
meat,
so many other places, right? Some great animal products that
meat
are also going to give you the protein that you need. Organ meats are by far one of the most frowned upon things, I would say, in like the American diet. And frowned upon in as
that's because people view them as icky, though. Like,
yeah,
ew,
right.
That's
like,
icky.
Oh,
like,
I'm not going to eat heart, or I'm not going to eat liver.
Try it, you know.
But
I try it whenever it comes around, but I'm not so daring that I just order it straight off the menu. Unfortunately, I'm not there yet.
Just order like a pound of it. You can get it
pound.
You get it shipped, and then just break off. Like if you have like an ounce of liver a day, it'll literally change your life. Like
an ounce of liver.
Yeah, just 1 little ounce of liver a day. You can eat it raw. You can cook it. Whatever.
See, but I had a couple pieces. Chris gave me some dried liver, and I was like, this isn't it. Well, and see, here's the full circle part. We were just talking shit about vegetables, which if you look at my diet, very centered around whole foods, right? I don't talk shit about vegetables, but they're not like a staple of my diet, so to say. Like I like celery and peanut butter, right? Or if we're cooking, we do some peppers, or we do vegetables like on the side, right? Like here or there.
I mean, it's nice to fill up too on that. Like
it's a matter of preference, though.
Yeah.
Like what we were saying, like if you're gonna do this health thing, like here you're talking about the nutritional value or bioavailability of vegetables. Like I don't see the point in it, but like from like a cooking or like the standpoint of a chef, like adding those textures to your dishes, like the crunch or the whatever you want to attribute it to, like it makes eating a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely does.
Whether you're getting like the nutrients you would from like meat, I don't compare it to that, but I'm also like not gonna cut vegetables out of my diet completely just because I don't need to.
Right.
You know.
No, understandable.
I prefer fruit over vegetable, but I don't think anyone's going to argue that.
Right, and that's kind of what I wanted to get into next was the fruit aspect, because people might be like, man, Joe, like, you're fucked. You only eat meat. Like,
you're
no,
fucked. No,
that's not true at all.
Well, now that you're not on keto.
Yeah, the keto was a great start for me to just really change a lot of my eating habits around, because my eating habits were complete garbage.
It was the same thing as Joey when he was on
here.
Yeah. Talked about that.
And that really just helped begin to change how I viewed food and how I was able to just train myself to not be eating at all hours of the day like a lot of American society does, right?
Yeah.
So you're constantly spiking your insulin, and there's just so much cortisol and hormetic stressors that go on when you're just eating 5, 6, 7 times a day, right? So
yeah, it's fucked.
I was only eating twice a day and just feeling great about myself. But now the natural transition from that keto diet to more of what Dr. Paul Saladino calls an animal-based diet, and that's what I follow now, and I just feel like I'm living my best life, just absolutely thriving. And when he says animal-based diet, what he means is it's primarily going to be based around meat and organs and fruit. So those are the 3 main aspects of it, right? And not so much meat, but I mean, I should say yes, meat, but like, any type of like animal protein, I should say, right? Like eggs, your meat, your organ meats, and
no dairy though?
And dairy, yeah,
okay,
raw dairy, and raw dairy.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, so that's like the main staple of it. I haven't really incorporated the raw dairy yet, but I'm going to start getting on some kefir because I heard that's
kefir. Yeah, I've never even heard of it.
It's kind of like just pretty much raw dairy, like
raw dairy.
cream stuff. I'm not
Okay.
sure the exact like texture of it, but
I mean, growing up, you fucking hated cheese.
Yeah.
And you're still like not the biggest fan of cheese.
No.
Which is probably one of the wildest things that I've ever been a part of to see.
Yeah.
Is people just not like cheese.
just
It's weird.
just super gross. I would say.
Fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Never been
now
on-
you're
never
talking
been.
about some animal product.
Yeah.
This is like some cream stuff. It's
Right.
like pure dairy. Like what?
Yeah, just some good raw dairy.
For sure.
But the fruit aspect is really interesting. So a lot of pretty much, I would say all my carbs come from pretty much like fruit and honey now, and I just absolutely love honey. It's just so good tasting. I put it on steak, ground beef.
You can pretty much put it on anything.
On anything. Eat it with my apples. And there was this really cool study that was done because some people were bashing, saying like fructose is so bad for you, right? Because a lot of fructose in honey and in fruit.
Yeah, high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, but in isolated cases, that's the big difference. So when you isolate it, like that high fructose corn syrup, or like, you know, you'll have sucrose, and I don't know exactly, don't quote me on this, but like all those isolated cases, that's where all the problems started happening. But when you're eating it in like its more natural form, like in the food matrix of a fruit or in honey, the way the body
It's way more available.
metabolizes it is
Yeah.
completely different.
Of course.
So, what I would just tell people when they're trying to really construct a diet, as picking back to that, is go back to that whole foods aspect, right?
Mhm.
Eat natural occurring foods that you can find in the world.
Yeah.
And then just try and eat only a couple times a day, because there's no sense that
You need to be eating
7-8 times. When you think of
I
like
need
back
a
when
snack,
humans were
like-
hunter-gatherers, sometimes we wouldn't eat at all in a day. Sometimes we would eat once in a day. If we had a successful hunt, we would eat 2 or 3 times a day, right?
I mean, but now people are eating 7 to 8 times a day.
Yeah,
And they're
and you just look
stationary.
at-
They're stagnant.
Yeah, especially with just like the rise of corporate America.
Yeah.
People work, and then after COVID, you have all these remote jobs now. So it doesn't really make sense to constantly be spiking your insulin so many times throughout the day.
No.
I try and eat at maximum 3 times a day.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much eating 2 to 3 times a day, depending on how my day goes.
I probably
And-
eat around like 3 times a day.
Yeah, and I found that just based off of my own experience is what my body responds really well to when it comes to just like my career and my work, and then also transitioning then into my workouts for running. So being able to balance all that, I think I found a really good niche with eating that 2 to 3 times a day, just depending on how
Of
things
course.
go.
And it also cuts down on like preparing the food. 'Cause
Right.
You're only eating 3 times a day. It also
Mhm.
cuts down. Generally, I mean, your diet is very expensive, but it's
Yeah.
good for you, But most people can be like, oh, well, I eat out how many times a week?
Right.
Or like DoorDash, Grubhub, or just eating out, whatever, They're spending a lot of money a month. You're spending a lot of money a month, but it's way better for you than anything some fast food place will put out.
Yeah, I would say people say, man, your diet's really expensive, because I guess it's all relative to what you coin as expensive. I mean, I think I spend anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 a month.
It's a lot.
on food.
Yeah, I'll
Like
tell
I
you
said,
that's a lot.
So just depends on what your perspective is, because
course.
when you add up, like if you were to take a month by month snapshot of all the food you consume, the money you spend,
Mhm.
right? It's probably might be less, might be more, just depending on, I guess, what your financial
course.
status is.
I can honestly say that you could probably eat and get like a good fill for an individual human for probably like half of that.
Yeah.
Is it going to be the same quality as what you're eating?
Yeah,
No.
probably
Is
not.
it going to be like near the same amount? No, because you run most of it off. But I'm saying like, for $600 or $700,
a month?
you could probably
Yeah.
feed one individual adult human on that.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure.
Absolutely. But I think just trying to put that into context, then educating yourself on the right foods to eat is so important, right?
Yeah, well, being able to find that information and deduce it,
Yeah.
and find your own method. So one other thing that I think I talked about a little bit with Joey, and I mean, you've already talked about it too, is the big thing with fruit. So one of the main things that I've noticed that American people specifically have a problem with, and we said that they're snacking constantly, right? Who doesn't want to eat all fucking, it's pleasure, right? It's just like sex. If you could be eating and having sex all day, you probably would, you know, but it's not really like possible. I don't know. It's possible, you know,
Can't work out.
You know, it can't. You gotta live actual life. So most people I see are addicted to sugar, right?
Yeah.
And that's not even to just say fruit. Like that's either like soda pop or like there's sugar and literally everything. The high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
There's soy and everything. That's not sugar, but you get the gist that I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if people are trying to relinquish that craving for sugar, right? Like you need something sweet to substitute it. What should you do? I just think fruit.
Yeah, I would say honey.
Honey?
Absolutely, 100% honey. You
But
can
I mean,
give
like,
honey to a diabetic even, which is crazy.
So,
you know, obviously not just globs of it.
Honey is a good thing to like add to certain things. I'm talking
I eat it by the spoonful too. I mean, I add it to a lot of things, but I'll also have like 3 tablespoons of honey.
Okay.
You know,
a lot of people have that oral fixation too, though. So they have the hand to the mouth thing, right? So instead of eating like chips or cookies or other things filled with sugar, like the hand of the mouth, maybe you find a couple of fruits that you can snack on throughout the day, right? You start taking like grapes, right? Or like
maybe
I
some
eat
raspberries, right.
blackberries, blueberries, like the list can go fucking on of like the fruit you can eat. Like I eat an apple and a banana every day. Like I just those are my go-tos, you know. And I used to have an issue with energy drinks, but I replaced the energy drinks with my fruit intake, you know. So doing that, the research, like you said, on all this information about nutrition, you also have to be able to do it with respect to your own taste.
Right.
You know? Because like you said, like not every diet is going to work for everybody, right? Like I wouldn't even be able to do what Paul Saladino does. Like I just need a little bit of more variation, you know, regardless of how you like season things that you're eating.
Yeah.
Like I need different textures and stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I know that. I respect it. I eat a lot of whole foods. Chris and Jackie actually used to keep telling me that I got to get on the keto diet or that I need to start doing all of these things. And then I think finally, like I brought like one of my meal preps or one of my dinners over a couple months ago. And I don't know how the conversation came up, but then Jackie goes, "Do you see what he's eating? He just ate like all whole foods. I had like some salmon, different fruit. I even had like my celery and peanut butter because like that's like my shit to go. Like everything that I just ate was like some sort of a whole food.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Am I counting my macros? No. You know, are there a lot of carbs in there? Yeah. But for someone who's as active as me, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Exactly. It's just what tastes good to me during the week. I'm conscious of it, you know? You got to find that. It's really just the discipline and the education on who you are as an individual.
Right. And I think a lot of it really stems from piggybacking off the Whole Foods thing is the quality of the food will far outweigh the quantity of the food, you know.
Oh, by far.
And sometimes I think so much of our society, you know,
quantity now
is all based on how much do I get for this?
It's like, all quantity now.
You know, and I don't think that's the right lens to look at it through because more times than not, the more you're getting of a substance, usually the less quality. You're going to sacrifice quality, right? You know?
Well, I mean, that's prevalent. Like we've grown up watching our family business thrive because people come to us for quality.
Right.
You know, like if you go to other tuxedo rental places that are huge chains, they're not going to give you the same amount of quality in their rental, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen that. You know, you can buy like the 4 for $4 at Wendy's, right? Or just these value meals at fast food. You're getting a lot of food for a small amount of money. What's the quality of that food, though?
Yeah.
You know?
It's complete garbage, right?
Yeah,
and you're going to end up being hungry like an hour later because, you know, these seed oils that they're cooked in literally just signal to our brain to, you know, I forgot what the actual receptor is. It's like the CB1 receptor, which is the same receptor, that cannabinoid one, that when you smoke marijuana, gives you that hunger feeling, right?
Okay, yeah.
So a lot of these seed oils, the canola oils, the vegetable oils, that a lot of just garbage junk food is cooked in, stimulate that same CB1 receptor. So
yeah.
it's like you're basically eating just to eat some more because you're going to be hungry like an hour later, right?
But that's what they want you to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great marketing. It's honestly just an amazing business plan in general, right? When you look at these big conglomerates like the Nestle's and frickin', I don't know who owns Lay's, the Jay's chips or what, all that, but like they have some of the smartest people working for them. Like it's literally legal cocaine, legal crack is what they're putting out there. You know? So.
Yeah, it is. And this is even after they had put actual cocaine in the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, right. You know, so they're always finding ways to.
And I think that's fucked too, because like if you look at it, they're doing all of this and they're feeding everybody it. The medical industry is just like rolling in dough for people coming in with like, I got heart problems or I'm overweight.
This can stem back to that $1,000 a month on your diet, right? So it's like, it's almost thinking of it as like an investment, right?
It is relative.
You know, are you willing to spend the money now? And one, you're going to live a much more satisfying, happy, fulfilled life because you're not going to be feeling like shit in this foggy, nasty state of just like hunger and eating so much anti-nutrient, food. Or do you want to just spend the necessary money to live a healthier, more optimal life and enjoy the things that you want to enjoy in life and not have to pay for it down the road in medical bills? Because look at how prevalent cancer is and how pricey it is to literally
deal with
get cancer. It's like, you're going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to try and cure this, or just any type of heart disease, or, the list goes on and on with all the medical problems that come with eating a very non-nutritious diet.
Yeah, of course. Well, let's just say a more convenient diet.
Yeah.
Like it's more convenient to eat the crap that they put out there.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're talking about all this stuff. Now, you're saying it's relative, the amount of money, right, with the diet. Like I'm going to put in this amount of money right now to eat really good and save my body now.
Yeah, to pretty much continue to spend that kind of money throughout your life, so you don't have to ever spend more money
on some health issue down the road that could have been easily avoided right now.
It could have been prevented by, a lot of it stems with your dietary choices. A lot of just medical issues in general stem from that and how you breathe, like those two things. So. But we're telling people that, it's relative in money, right? Like, you might spend a little bit more, eating the better stuff than, the more convenient stuff. Yeah, now, the cheaper stuff.
The cheaper stuff. But as people are listening to this, it's like, oh, so you're saying that if I just spend more money on better food, I'm going to be healthier. And this is where, like, the parameters come in, or more importantly, the self-motivation and the discipline. You have to educate yourself.
Yep.
You have to know what foods to even be eating, right? Like you can hire like a nutritionist too. You got to have the discipline. Now you got to take this into consideration. You're preparing more of your meals than you are going out.
Yep.
So now it's going to cost more money. It's going to cost more time. And to be honest, to start out, your emotional energy, it's a little taxing. Because now you're creating a whole new set of behavioral patterns, right?
Yeah, it's a whole new routine. There's a lot of variance that comes along with that. It's definitely very scary and daunting to venture into like a new way of doing anything,
life,
right?
Pretty much,
the way you go about that. But the principles that I have tried to instill in myself is, like you said, my number one, where I start, you have to be self-motivated.
Yep.
So that's where I started when I changed my diet. I sought out people that were, experiencing great benefits from diets that they were practicing. I sought them out. I looked at research. I spent countless hours just trying to understand what really makes the human body go, and then I put it into practice. But like that was from my own sheer self-motivation of wanting to continue to try and live a more optimal life and better myself, right? So that's where it really started and stemmed from. And I think if everybody can just become self-motivated, then it's not going to be as much of a struggle when you don't feel like cooking one night. That'll help you get over that hump. You know what I'm saying? So
you have to harness that self-motivation. So I inherently believe that humans are deep down always striving to be better. And this is without even getting into philosophy, this is like a concept that was pretty much made by Friedrich Nietzsche, right? Like it's called the will to power, where like organisms like strive for power. And that's not in the physical sense, but that's just like to better themselves, right? Now, to have that self-motivation on a daily basis, I believe that deep down, like the people who aren't living a healthy life right now that are listening to this, they could listen to this and be like, I have that motivation now, and they go and like buy some groceries and cook that food tonight, right? Like there are these little spurts that I know everybody has deep down. It's just trying to harness them on a more consistent basis and a daily basis, even a weekly basis, you know, because you're not going to, I'm going to tell people right now, you're not going to be able to avoid vacations or holidays
or friends coming into town, or family gatherings, parties. Yeah, there's going to be distraction. There's going to be, you know,
because that's a big thing that I see people slip into the old ways. That's huge,
right? And you're always going to resort back to your baseline, whatever baseline habits that you had created. So
your comfort zones,
and that's what leads into number 2 after becoming, you know, that having that self motivation, that desire to change and better yourself. You know, and as you said, number 2, develop a consistent discipline practice. And it really all starts with your why. Why do you want to change? Why do you want to develop better health habits, better nutrition, knowledge, working out routines, what have you? Like, what's the why behind it?
Like your intention for why you want to be better.
And my whole thing is just dream big, dream often, and achieve big, achieve often, right? You know, like
you got to take those small victories though.
You do.
You can think big the whole time, and if you don't, and people nowadays just with like instant gratification, if they don't see the results like now, right? Or like at least a little bit. Like imagine like someone who did really well for 2 months, but they're trying to lose like 100 pounds, and they don't really see.
You're not going to see it right away, obviously.
But you have to take those small victories. It's like, hey, 2 months ago, I probably woke up feeling way shittier than I do now. I might not be able to like run 5 miles, you know, but I'm doing a lot better.
Yeah.
You have to take these small victories and you have to roll with them and turn them into big things.
Absolutely. I mean, what I always tell myself is I'm not where I'm at, but I'm also not where I was.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think just having that humility to understand, you know, there's still a ton of work to be done to get to where I want to be. And when you get there, then just, you know, create something new that you want to chase after. But I think just having that humility with yourself and just, you know, taking it stride for stride, really just accepting those small wins for what they are, like great motivators, and just, you know, that giving you that reassurance that, hey, you know, I am on the right path. I feel great. I'm, you know, attacking life exactly how I want to attack it right now, and I'm loving every step of the way.
And that's on an individual level. Like there are going to be people in your life that are going to build you up, and they're going to cheer and they're going to root for you, right? And if anyone comes around and they try and fuck that up, even if they don't mean to, because deep down they might mean to, you got to just say fuck them.
Yep.
You got to just do it. If anybody tells you that your diet or exercise routine is not going to work, granted, if they're like in extremely good shape and they're trying to give you like advice, take it. But if they are not practicing what they preach, like if someone who's really out of shape is trying to tell you how to do it, I would just not fucking listen to them.
You got to take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
because I've had people do that to me, and it's just the most asinine shit I've ever heard in my life.
I think that's just true for anything, right? Like, you don't want to take financial advice from someone who's
fucking broke.
Dead broke. You don't want to take, you know, gym advice from someone who's out of shape. You don't want to take health advice from someone who's out of shape.
Yeah.
You know, relationship advice from someone who's single.
Yeah,
right?
like, what the fuck?
It's like, it doesn't make sense. You know? Right. No, that's good.
Yeah, so this just gets back to being able to educate yourself correctly.
Yeah, that was number 3, right?
Yeah.
Educate yourself by seeking knowledge and truth. You know, and with all the misinformation out there nowadays, and you just see a lot of clickbait stuff and, this diet, that diet, take this pill, take that pill.
I see it at Jewel in the tabloid magazine. Still lose 30 pounds in 2 weeks.
Like, all these quick fixes and just this disgusting way to I'm a firm believer that you need to heal yourself from the inside out.
Yeah.
And it really just starts with what's going in,
your body.
Yeah, like, what are you putting in there? It's like, if you were to fuel up your car, right? You're not just going to put like just a hodgepodge of different shit in your car, right?
Yeah,
you're going to
hope it works.
It's like you're putting the correct fuel in to make the car run.
Yeah.
So many times we're not putting the correct fuel in to make our bodies run, and we're trying to still, run them, especially in this fast-paced high society where we're constantly in communication with people. We're in high-stress work environments. We might be studying for exams, this, that, and other, right?
There's got a lot going on.
There's so much mental energy being expended, and that the demand for your what your body needs to sustain these high stress situations is you need the right food, and we're just as a country, as a society, not getting that right now.
So I already had Joey come on and talk about his story. I actually just had Sam come on and talk last week too, but Sam was more of a mental note, and we're not going to deal so much with the mental side of things right now. What direction, for anyone who's listening, would you point people in for a diet to just start out on if you are trying to just lose weight and get in the routine of learning how to eat?
Yeah, develop better eating habits.
Yeah.
And
would you say that it's keto?
I would say it would be a mix. I wouldn't say like full-blown
keto, yeah, because that's tough.
It is really hard, and I think a lot of people get dissuaded because there's
who doesn't love carbs?
Obviously you've been trained your whole life to eat carbs, right? Your body has not, opened its fat adaptation systems. It doesn't really know how to burn fat effectively. One of the problems that a lot of people run into when they start a keto diet is they think that they just need to cut the carbs and they're good to go, right? And then you get that drowsy, nasty feeling because I'm going to nerd out a little bit here, but your body can't just absorb all this fat that it's taking in, because on a keto diet it's primarily fat and protein, right? Very less carbs. So people think, okay, let me just cut the carbs, I'll increase the fat, increase the protein, and I'm good to go. Well, your body doesn't have enough LDL cholesterol, which is your low density lipoprotein, as some people coin it, bad cholesterol, which is completely taken out of context, because it's not. Anything the human body makes isn't going to be bad for you, right? It's just out of context. Why people think that it's bad. But so you don't have enough of that LDL cholesterol, which is a transporter cholesterol, right? It takes the fat and it transports it around the cell, around wherever it needs to go. So when you first start a keto diet and you cut the carbs and you're just eating a lot of fats, your body can only transport so much of that fat because it only has so much LDL cholesterol made, right?
Yeah.
As you get more acclimated to keto and you're in ketosis, your body produces more LDL. That's why your LDL levels go way up when you're on a keto diet. If you ever get blood work done, a doctor is going to look at you and be like, we need to get you on a statin to lower your cholesterol. It's through the roof, right? But that's just a natural response that the body makes to move around all that fat. So, the typical start for a keto diet that I'd recommend people, just from the research that I've read, is you want to go lower carbs, lower fat, higher protein, and then slowly increase that fat week over week as you get more acclimated, as your body starts to produce more LDL cholesterol, right?
Yeah, because you'll fuck up your kidneys otherwise, right?
There's obviously that's a different topic. But there's the types of fats that you're getting is really important, right? I'm a big believer in just eating animal fats. If you're going to get some saturated fats in, I would say stick more to like coconut, avocado, in that range. But yeah, like I said, keto diet's great for losing weight. It's really hard if you don't know exactly what you're doing. So I hope that might help some people of like, hey, don't just go full blown into eating a ton of fat and a ton of protein, because you're going to feel like absolute shit, and you're literally going to be like, I hate this, and probably quit after 2 weeks, to be completely honest with you.
I mean, we touched a little bit on technology or how much information is available. You can literally go on YouTube and you can like hear somebody talk about a success story with a diet. Yeah. Right? You should actually just do like 3 diets, right? Like just write down 3 diets that you think you're going to do and just go watch a success story on YouTube. Yeah. Listen to what they said and then maybe cross-reference like, ooh, I like some of those foods. I like some of those. Do the pros and cons of each one and be like, okay, I'm going to vibe a lot more with this plan because it's got a little bit more of the foods that I like. It doesn't have the eating times that I like or hit their take on how they felt during it might not hit with me, but it's got the right foods for me. Right. Or people might be completely different. Like, I don't really care how I feel, like I want the results, right? So they're going to go with this diet, Yeah. You got to do that research. And don't just like watch one fucking YouTube video about how some person did it. Like, go and look up an article or two, also.
Right. Yeah, like, then look at the actual scientific data behind that.
Well, I mean, like, most people are, with the millennial generation, we're so far in fucking debt from going to college. Like, most people know how to, like, do a fucking peer review of a couple articles, right?
You should know how to.
You should know how to do that now.
It's not difficult.
It's not fucking rocket science.
Yeah. But to answer your question about what diet I would start somebody off on, I just think back to the animal-based diet. I think that's a great diet, and maybe not all aspects of it, like I talked about, right? Because the main components of that animal-based diet is you're talking, animal proteins with meats, eggs, stuff like that, organ meats, raw dairy, and fruit and honey, right? Those are the main components of that animal-based diet. Obviously, it's really hard to get somebody to get, onto those organ meats. Paul Saladino has a company called Heart and Soil, and they have like desiccated organs, right? So you can take them in pill form, like organ, liver, heart, kidney, pancreas, that type of stuff. So if you don't want to eat the actual organs,
how much is that?
It's pretty affordable.
Really?
I think
monthly supplements.
Yeah, I think you can get them by the month. Obviously, you don't have to take it every day for a month, but maybe you can stretch it out for 2 months, right? Start there, and then I would definitely encourage people to start venturing in. Just buy yourself, a pound of some good grass-fed, grass-finished liver online. And
or you should just
start to cook an ounce of that every other day or something like that, right? Because it's really not much. Mix it in with some ground beef, mix it in with this like steak or something,
Yeah, some people, and the problem is like some people just flat out don't know how to cook.
Yeah, absolutely. That is totally true.
Which is why we've gotten so accustomed to just ordering the food right to our doorstep. I'm not like
I didn't really cook.
You didn't know.
No. For years I didn't cook, and now I really enjoy it. It's actually quite therapeutic. You know?
Once you know what you're doing.
Yeah, so I would say in terms of getting protein, I think animal-based protein is so bioavailable, and your body is just amazing at actually absorbing it, breaking it down, and using it versus plant-based proteins, right? Especially if you're looking at like plant protein powder, even like whey protein powder. Like these are things that your body is like not the best at actually getting. Plus, you don't know exactly how bioavailable it is. So I think just sticking to those whole natural foods, animal-based for the protein, carbs, stick to fruit and honey. Honey's an interesting topic because here in the U.S., you have this big Roundup problem and the pesticides, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
And I just learned that a bee can travel a radius of 3 miles away from the hive. So
fucking crazy,
which is nuts. So it's really hard to
that
find.
Shit is damn.
And I think it's like that. I don't know the actual scientific term for the chemical in Roundup, but it's in a lot of honey here in the States.
Oh, that's fucked up.
It's really hard to find good, clean honey. So that's something to be conscientious of too. But
going to those farmers markets like miles, hours away from big cities,
in the complete
Boo-foo land, yeah.
of nowhere.
Like South Haven, Michigan. Like they got some up there that we've went and
right. So I would say, the honey, the fruit, get that checked off for the carbs. Fats and proteins come from animal-based sources. Try not to cook in seed oils. I think that's the number one thing you should cut out with your diet right now. If you're cooking
seed oils.
Any type of seed oil, try and use some tallow or suet.
If you're gonna pick one though, just use olive oil. Because that's like
olive oil's tough just because you don't know. It goes rancid really quick. You don't know what else it's used with. I would say literally just get away from the seed oils at all costs. Use tallow, suet. If your body can take it, use ghee. I use ghee. I love ghee, or coconut oil, I would say, if you're going to use some type of oily substance.
What about just butter?
It really, I guess it depends how it's actually prepared. I think ghee is the best form of butter. It's literally better tasting, and it's better for you. So I would say stick to ghee personally. But I guess you could use some type of butter, as long as it just depends how how it's made, like I said. So that would be the main thing, and I think you'll see some drastic results within a few weeks. The way your body processes and metabolizes these good, natural, hearty whole foods versus a lot of refined processed carbs, right? You look at like cereals and granola and these refined sugars and chips and all that, like just complete bullshit, right? It's just garbage. Fucking disgusting. And the fact that like these things are just highly advertised and just shoved down people's throats is so disgusting to me. And I think if people can just have that awareness, man, like I feel like shit. Like that's the thing, is so many people are just unaware how shitty they feel because they don't know how good they can feel. Yeah, of course.
Our generation and the Gen Z generation is a lot more aware of that. Yeah, obviously, but we haven't had this shit fed to us for like 30 years.
Right.
Like our parents, like mom will like still like argue to the death with me that like getting like this one bowl from Taco Bell isn't like really bad for her. And I'm like, yeah, it is.
Right.
Like you're not gonna like,
you can't justify and rationalize that. Like,
yeah, well, like what do you know?
Yeah,
like, I love you,
right,
undeniably, but you're eating garbage. And if it wasn't garbage, then all of our relatives and your entire generation probably wouldn't be in as bad shape as they are. So who's really lying right now?
Yep.
It's like, what are you trying to prove?
Yeah, it's it's messed up.
It is messed up. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's like the media too, advertising it. Like they just let those corporations put whatever they want on these billboards and use these marketing techniques to just make people feel like they're fucking hungry and that their shit is not as bad as it is when it is. Like it's just a whole problem. Yeah. The saving grace is like our generation and the ones that come after are a lot more in tune to health. Wellness in general, right? Absolutely. Because we've seen the older generations and we're just like, we can't end up like that.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like out of fear, we're trying to like learn and fix ourselves, right?
And I think a lot of it has to do with like a lot of kids I hate to say it, but like I think, people in like their mid-20s, early 30s kind of grew up with like eating a lot of fast food, especially in America, and just that typical American diet, which is complete, shit for you, right?
God, it's bad.
And it's like now when you get a taste of a more well-rounded, holistic type of diet, it's like, man, like you just feel that difference in your energy levels, how you, think,
how you
in your
think, how you
everyday,
feel,
everything,
your whole
right?
life.
There's so many like depression, like related symptoms of some of the crap food that's out there, right?
Yeah.
But then like, I don't even know if it's really getting better because I look at some kids nowadays and there's these little kids that are just so big. Like, and I'm just like, man, like this kid's like 8 years old and he's
wearing like clothes for a 13-year-old.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Like I said, the saving grace though is like it will reach a point. It's like fight or flight almost. Like out of just straight up fear, people are going to change, right? I don't view that generation, like the younger kids, I don't view them on the same stubborn level as like our parents' generation.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just like 50, 60 years of misinformation versus like a couple.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm trying to be like positive, like optimistic about the whole damn thing.
Yeah,
you know?
I am too, absolutely. I think just spreading any type of awareness, positivity, and just like having discussion around, the health, because you look at this obesity epidemic that's been created,
it is an epidemic.
and it's like, well, the COVID pandemic, and it's like,
it was happening before that.
Yeah, let's shed some light on this. So I think just recapping again, I just really want to hammer this home. When we're looking at trying to start a new diet, right? Creating that plan, like we said, everything, have that vision, what you actually want to achieve, why you're setting off to, implement this new diet or health, journey, whatever you want to go down. And then just trial and error, just, go off of like your own anecdotal research. And, I would try and steer people into, like I said, the animal-based diet. Mm-hmm. And we'll reiterate that again, which is, a lot of animal meat, steaks preferably for me. I love steak, organ meats, raw dairy, fruits, and honey. And then, cut out the seed oils, how they're cooked in, try and cook in tallow, suet, ghee, or coconut oil. And then the last thing would be to try and limit how many times a day that you eat. And I think a good rule of thumb that I try and follow is to not eat more than 3 hours before bed, because your sleep is so crucial to your actual overall wellness and health. So, if you're going to bed at 11 o'clock at night, try not to eat after 8, right? Let's try and get our last meal in by like 7 p.m. so we can actually give our body that full slate of time to digest the food, and then it could spend its time sleeping and doing those other bodily repairs that it needs to get ready for the next day. So, attack it with those animal-based proteins, the fruits and the honey for the carbs. Limit how many times a day we're eating. Try and stick to that 2 to 3 times a day window, and try not to eat, more than 3 hours before bed, and cut out the seed oils because they're absolute garbage.
They are pretty bad for you.
So,
I mean, I still use, obviously I say olive oil sometimes, Yeah. Now what you just gave people is like that's like optimal, right? And this is coming from somebody who's like training for the Olympics, right? Mm-hmm. And your knowledge and stuff. Something needs to be a little more applicable to just your average human, though. Mm-hmm. And it starts with those routines.
Right. And there's obviously going to be variance in what I just said. Yeah. Like maybe, you have some freaking, I don't know, peanut butter or something,
just something to snack on. I feel that before you go...
Not peanut butter, because peanut butter is gross.
Fuck? What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, fuck that.
Oh my God.
It's literally like the worst nut for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Peanut butter slaps.
Oh, it tastes great.
Oh my God.
But it's not good, not nutritious for you.
Oh my
whatsoever.
I didn't give a fuck, bro. Like if you're trying to sit here and I will listen, if I have to give up peanut butter and cheese, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. That's it. I won't give those two up. There's no fucking way. That's
I don't even remember the last time I had peanut butter. It's probably been a few years, honestly.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And this is coming from a guy that was eating, man, I used to eat, my freshman year of college, I was eating almost 9 peanut butter and jellies a day.
Yeah, that was fucking, maybe that's why you hate it though. Wait, whoa. Growing up, you didn't even like jelly sometime. You're like, I just want a peanut butter sandwich.
And then I moved to the jelly because it's a good combo.
Yeah,
because the peanut butter is a little
the
too
salty
dry,
and the sweet. Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, I was slamming peanut butter and jellies like it was no one's business.
I spend a lot on more organic peanut butter though, so it doesn't taste like.
Yeah, it doesn't have all that processed.
No, it doesn't. It actually the stuff I've been buying right now. It's definitely like more bland. I'll tell you that.
Which is good. I mean, at least it's at least more on the natural side of things.
Yeah,
right?
it
Versus,
is.
having some like high fructose corn syrup or hydrogenated oils in there and stuff like that.
If I'm gonna buy something that's heavily concentrated, like sugar, like that, like the most like organic jam that we get at Jewel, and it's just like some handmade. Like, it's some good stuff, There's, like, 3 ingredients in it, right?
That's the way to do it.
But I think back to what I was saying is, like, you gave people these things to change, right? And this diet that I think you can get to, and if you can just, like, cold turkey whatever the fuck you're doing into an animal-based diet like you just laid out, like, more power to them.
Absolutely. I think it's worth a try, to be honest, because
for sure.
I think the reason I think this is a more suitable diet than a keto diet to start somebody out on that isn't very knowledgeable is those carbs.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
You get a little satiation also from that fruit. You get a ton of satiation on the keto side of things from fat. It's just like people get turned off from it because they might feel like shit, like I said earlier.
Yeah, you just feel like ass.
When you're just eating too much fat, when your body doesn't have the necessary cholesterol to, move and transport that around. So I think the animal-based diet, if given that chance, can do wonders for our society. It really can. And that's definitely something that I think people should try out. I think if you just give it a couple months, you'll really see the benefits start to shine. So
I think getting people to, and I'm going to look at it from a different perspective. I think the routine, we've already talked about it. The routine of eating, though, is like you said, not eating 3 hours before bed.
Right.
Just eating less. Like maybe just like start out like trying. Maybe you can't change your whole diet and what you're eating like on the spot like that. Maybe that's just not your vibe. Maybe you need to like just get control of like you as an individual. And the advice that I give you for that is just eating less. You might not have to change your entire diet. Maybe you just decide to eat a little more fruit than the chips you're eating on a weekly basis, and you just eat a little less and you don't eat as late. And you do that for like 2 months. You might feel way better, just from that, instead of just going like full-blown demigod mode out here,
Yeah, I think for some people it might be a little unrealistic just to uproot and change everything. But I think it's definitely worth a try and uproot and change, because I think sometimes that's just what we need as human beings, is that
kick in the
drastic
ass,
push and that change. And it's a little frightening at first, but if you go into it with that growth type mindset and with that mindset of you're eliciting change to your body, and it's like, hey, this is what we're doing, and I think it'll really show. The benefits will show, and from there, then it's just like it becomes part of who you are, and you just roll with that.
And that's one of the reasons why I think mom fails a lot, or most people that try. It's not just, I'm going to do this for a couple months and lose some weight. It's a fucking lifestyle change. It's like, I want to change the way I'm living. Not just for a couple weeks or months, like just indefinitely want to change like who I am right now, what I'm putting into my body. And sometimes it is a hard pill to swallow, but you got to hold yourself accountable. Some people need a kick in the ass. Some people need that drastic change,
Yeah.
I think it just all comes back down to educating yourself.
Yep.
Maybe sometimes you just got to sit there and like, this goes into like some of the mental thing. We haven't really talked about that like I did with Sam a little bit, but I think people really need to like look at how they talk to themselves.
Yeah, the self-talk is everything.
Like just see, like without your phone near you, without a TV, computer, or laptop screen on, maybe it's just you. And I'm not even talking about meditation, right? I'm just talking about maybe just sit there for a couple minutes and like just study how you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like what is it that you really want to do? Is the inner voice inside of you telling you that you can't get healthy and change your diet? Or is that little voice inside of you being like, we can do this.
Right.
Now that everything around me has calmed down, right?
Yeah.
And you have to make that voice so fucking loud that you just keep hearing it all day,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And from there you go, you just have to learn yourself, educate yourself. Like we've said over and over in this podcast, you know?
Yeah, the education's everything, and in what you say when you're talking to yourself is very important as well,
huge.
Right? You know, it's like what do those talk tracks look like? Is it more negative and more just, you know, you cannot do this, can't do that, or this is too hard?
I had a bad day. I deserve like this,
right? Or is it like, hey, we got this, we can do this,
exactly?
Like, you know, that positive, just like breath of life, and just constantly going back to your why. You know, that's what I always resort back to when I'm having a bad day, or it's like, man, I just want to, you know, eat outside of the parameters of my diet,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
And, you know, and it's like, and sometimes I fail at that, you know.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I eat a nasty thing, right? Like a thing of ice cream.
I mean,
Right? Like it happens, but it's like, okay, when you get punched in the mouth or you get knocked down on the ring, are you getting back up, or are you going to wait till the referee, you know,
counts to 10 and you're
counts
done?
to 8 or 10, whatever the count is, right? It's like, you know, you got to just get right back up and get back on it, you know.
I mean, everyone who's listening to this podcast understands when I say, like, I love ice cream. And that's my slip up. That's what I do, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm doing really well, and, you know, this is life. Sometimes you got to throw yourself a bone here and there.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm just, you know, I'm not training for the Olympics, or I'm not trying to get into the NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do live, like, a pretty optimal life in terms of diet, I think. You know, I'm not eating crap. And, you know, sometimes I just go out for some ice cream, dude.
Yeah, you
like,
got to. Sometimes you got to just, you know, feed that inner just desire. But when you're doing it on a consistent basis,
that's
or
when it's bad.
You're having that late night snack every single night.
Yeah, no, that's when it's fucking you up.
You know, right.
Mine is definitely not that frequent.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I'd say, like, at my most frequent, it's like once a week.
Okay.
And that's even...
Sometimes not even that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But Lisa also does a good job at, like, just telling me to fuck off when I keep talking about ice cream.
Got to keep you in line.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's nice to have someone there to hold you accountable for that.
Yeah, no, you got to.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think we did a pretty good job with this one.
Yeah, I think, you know, we tackled some pretty tough points, and I don't think that the animal-based diet's going to resonate with everybody, and that's totally okay. And I really want to reiterate the fact that, you know, there's no one diet fits all type thing. There's many different,
got to find the one for you,
variables that go into it. And I think if you can just cut out the seed oils and cut out just the processed and refined sugars, that's huge. The first start. And then from there, just start building out, you know, the quantity, but like I think just starting to build out, you know, and I feel like I'm a broken record here, but just whole natural foods. You know, your body will just find a way to like metabolize that a lot better than the refined garbage that's. I mean, people so prevalent in today's society.
People come to this podcast to hear us say these things, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, we might feel like a skipping record, but you know, if we're a skipping record and by some act of miracleness we skip so bad that somebody goes and changes their life because they just kept hearing us telling them to do it, then that's a positive thing. We did it.
We influenced and impact them in a positive way, and you can't ask for anything better than that, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if there's any note to take away, you know, the diets that Joe talked about tonight, also educating yourself, listening to the inner voice inside you and how you're talking to yourself is also huge. And just
do your own research, right?
Do your own research. That's the main thing.
You know, put it into practice. Take action. Take initiative, and actually listen to your body, how you feel throughout that process, right? And then from there, you can cross-reference it back with the data, the research that you actually, you know, the scientific journals and whatnot that you actually, you know, looked into, and then make any adjustments as needed. So.
Find the intention that you have within for why you want to change, create a plan, educate yourself, and by all means, you can just be happy. Do that shit. Do it with a smile on, and I promise that your life is going to change. So I appreciate you guys coming out tonight. We're going to end the episode here. So you guys have a good rest of your week and feel free.
One love.
Yee.